Hello, welcome to my channel, Taurus Gem. My name is Valerie. I'm a new tarot reader. I first wanted to say that my readings will be for entertainment purposes only. I also wanted to talk about the power that we may allow tarot to have over our lives and over ourselves. I feel like it's important not to give tarot power over yourself or your choices or your decisions or where you're going in life. It's simply just a guidance tool that you could use to help make your decisions. You don't have to take any of the information. You could just take what resonates with you, leave the rest for somebody else. I feel like we get kind of swept up in looking at tarot to see what's going on with other people and how they feel or think about us or how they think of us. And I feel like that leads to a lot of inner anxiety and turmoil, because you can't really change how another person is feeling and you can't control their behavior to make them see what you want them to, or to behave how you want them to. So I feel like tarot is a very useful tool for guidance and discovery and growth for yourself. You can listen to any reading, whether it's a relationship reading or a personal reading about your own self and your own personal growth, and gather the information that you hear and learn from that and reflect within yourself to find out what you can do to grow yourself as a person. Maybe learn some things that you could explore, or it helps me a lot with, or it has helped me a lot with understanding my own feelings, like being able to recognize what the feeling is, rather, because sometimes I'm struggling with things and I feel so many emotions, and then when I'm sitting there watching a reading and somebody else is explaining this experience from another perspective, it gives me the opportunity to look from outside of myself into the situation, and I'm able to grow by recognizing things about myself that I didn't recognize, like maybe different behaviors or thoughts, ways of thinking, and things like that. So I think that it's useful. I believe that it's useful in that sense, rather than watching the reading to find out as much information as you can about somebody else. So I hope that was helpful, and I suppose let's get on to the reading. So I think I'm going to start with Shaman's Dream Oracle. Okay, Spirit. What messages do you have for the collective? What messages do you have right now for the collective? What messages do you have right now for the collective? One more. Messages. All right. Dust Devil, moving out of stagnation. So I'm going to grab the book on this one, and it's going to be number 15. Dust Devil. Embrace the chaos, trust the process, moving out of stagnation. The presence of the Dust Devil causes a ruckus. Some people are afraid of this chaotic nature, believing that he comes to intentionally stir things up. The truth is, you can't expect this dream alley to behave, to bring niceness, to be clean. His power is in the mess he creates as he calls for you to engage in full cyclone of life. He represents two aspects to you now. The winds in your outer life appearing to throw you off course, where you assume the world is coming at or happening to you, which actually kind of feels like what I was talking about before, where if you're paying attention to other people or even a situation outside of yourself, that could create stagnation, like within yourself or within you. It keeps it harder for you to move forward when you feel like you don't have control over a situation or another person. Okay. And the winds that churn inside you. With the Dust Devil arising from your dreamscape to help you escape your invisible chains shackling you to a barren desert. Stop asking for things to be perfect. Awkward, messy, conflicted, exuberant, and wild is how you shift. Trust this process. The Dust Devil knows what you need when you need it. Once things settle, you will see the gleaming jewels awaiting your discovery, the wisdom awaiting integration. So, focusing more on yourself, I feel like, gives you the ability to see other options and other possibilities around you, because you're not focused on, well, this situation is like I feel stuck because the situation is this and I can't see a way around it, or I can't move forward with this person because they behave like this, or it's like sometimes you get stuck on a person even, and you're trying to figure out like what their intentions are, their motivations are, and you kind of get stuck in that like that space. So you're kind of stagnating yourself because you're waiting on this person, but you don't know when they're going to get their things together, or when they're going to make a different decision, or when things are going to change with you. So staying focused on that person or that situation that's making you feel stuck is keeping you from recognizing that you can move around the person or the situation and find a new path. Maybe you may need to find another person. Maybe that person's not the person for you. Or maybe you just need to go out on your own and not think about that person while they get their stuff together, and just live your life and do whatever you're going to do and just move forward. And whenever the time comes, if it's meant to be, they'll come back around and things will be different. Or the situation, maybe you could come back to that later. Maybe things will have changed, but you're not stuck in that space of waiting and maybe feeling anxious or worried or stressed, but rather just moving forward. Okay, let's see. The next is going to be this one. This one is the Archetypes deck. I like her decks. She's really awesome. Okay, what messages do you have, Spirit? What messages do you have? What messages do you have for collective today? What messages do you have for collective today? One more. What messages do you have for collective? Alright. The Shadow. I'll show you what that card looks like up close. I don't think I got to show you what this one looked like up close. Alright. The Shadow. Although every card in the archetype deck has a shadow potential, this card asks us to delve into the qualities of the shadow itself. We often think that the shadow can be purified, illuminated, and made right through effort and achievement. However, it is typically the case that our lofty pursuits of ascension and purification is the very source of shadow material itself. By rejecting parts of ourselves and the world, we begin to separate from the whole, rather than getting to know the qualities and content of our shadow. We busy ourselves with avoiding its presence. This is denial. When this card appears, it is time to take inventory of those things you've been denying. When the mind responds with no, anything but that, you are touching shadow. Find support for this deep inner work and move toward the shadow with patience and compassion. Contemplate the following scientific observation. The closer an object, a person, place, or community is to the light, the longer the shadow it casts. In the shadow of the gods are the very gods themselves. Reflect on the statement by James Hillman in A Blue Fire. What do you desire about yourself? By answering, you move toward shadow. see. I feel like this would be talking about instead of focusing on other people and their behaviors or situations, you're focusing on yourself and your shadow. I'm not sure who needs to hear this message about watching too much tarot, or maybe how they're watching tarot. I'm not too sure. You're not focusing on yourself by paying too much attention to what's going on around you, by focusing on what other people are doing or how other people are behaving, or situations outside of yourself. By letting go of focusing so much outside of yourself, you're bringing your thoughts, you're bringing yourself back into you, essentially, I guess. And so you can reflect on how you're feeling about things and observing how things are going on outside of you, rather than judging them or having a feeling about it, like feeling anxious because of a situation or a person. You could rather observe it without feeling something towards it so much. And by doing that, I feel like you're able to more focus on yourself by also thinking about your own self and your own actions and your own behaviors and how you're going to handle things regardless of what's going on around you. And by reflecting on yourself and your own behaviors, you'll be digging into your shadow and recognizing things within yourself that you may not have noticed before. Like for me, I have done so much shadow work. I mean, I've tried to do a lot of shadow work. And I think I'm just realizing kind of what that actually is, more so than when I started. I recognized that I thought that I had a lot of anger inside of me, because I would get angry and I guess like with people in my past, we would fight and I would get angry, and I never really recognized why I got so angry. And I just thought that I had an anger issue. And I recognized that my anger issue it stemmed from me wanting to be heard, listened to, and understood. And I recognize now, after my shadow work, that because I never felt like that was part of who I was, I didn't behave like that outside of these conflicts. And so after reflecting, I recognized that I was upset and angry because I wasn't being listened to or heard or understood. And I recognized that that is the reason why I would get angry. And I would get really angry. And I also am able to recognize, though, now with all the work that I've put into healing and looking into myself and reflecting, that maybe the people that I had in my life before and that I dealt with in the past were not capable of being able to, including myself, because I had to do a lot of work to recognize, that I even had this issue, I guess you could call it, not being able to communicate well. So I feel like that's kind of like what this card is saying. When you're focusing on yourself rather than outside of yourself, you're able to learn more about yourself and figure out ways to get outside of that. Because now that I know that it upsets me to be in a relationship with or friends with somebody that is, I don't want to say incapable, because everybody is capable of learning communication skills, but not everybody has them. There's something that needs to be learned. I'm working on communication skills myself. It's not an easy thing, but I'm recognizing that I can find people that I can have in my energy, in my space, that are better able to communicate or resolve conflicts in a healthier way, where we can both feel heard and listened to and understood, as opposed to arguing with each other for 3 hours and not really going anywhere, just going in circles. But in the, I can't force somebody to learn communication skills. I can't be like, well, you don't know how to communicate, so you need to learn communication skills. No, because that person's just going to feel like, I'm being judgmental. Which, it's frustrating. And it kind of sounds also like I'm accusing them of being the ones that are lacking communication skills, depending on how I say it, rather than saying, I feel like we both need to learn communication skills. But you can't really force people to behave the way that you want them to. So if I spend the rest of my life trying to force somebody to learn communication skills because I don't want to get angry anymore and I want to have healthy conversation and resolve conflict, I have to surround myself with people that are capable, not capable, because everybody's capable, that are already at a point where they've started learning that, or interested in developing that within themselves. Because if they're not recognizing it, there's not really a lot you can say. They're just going to say, no, it's you, no, it's you. And it's not going to, it could possibly change. Who knows? But it's possible that they might not ever feel the need to learn that. And then you're going to be left feeling angry and misunderstood and not listened to. So that is how I feel about that card. So let's see. I have this other little deck, cute little one. It is Antiquity of Magic Oracle. I think that's what it says. Alright. These ones are cute. I haven't really had a chance to use them or look through them much. So I'm interested in what they have to say. Alright, one more. I'm actually going to shuffle this one like this because I felt like something else wanted to fly out besides what was on the top of the deck. So let's see, what messages do you have for us today, Spirit? What messages do you have for us today, Spirit? I think I've seen... Did I see another one? That's not part of it. It's like a thank you. I guess that's it. Let's see. Do you want to give us another one? One more. All right. So we've got moon influence, rose promise, heart connection, and fire expansion. All right, let's see what these have to say. So moon influence. Okay. Keywords are intuition, feminine energy, psychic abilities, and emotions. Tarot card references are the High Priestess, the Chariot, the Moon, Eight of Cups, Two of Swords, and the Page of Swords. Antiquities of Magic, History of Symbolism. The moon is associated with the divine feminine and the goddess. It represents the natural cycle of birth, life, and death. The moon is strongly connected to intuition, psychic abilities, and free-flowing feelings and emotions. It is connected to time and the natural rhythms and movements of nature. The moon is symbolic for the light that leads the spirit to the afterlife, and the glow honors the deceased. It represents the duality of the light and the shadow side of human nature, correlating strongly to the unseen shadow side. Interesting. The moon is symbolic of the light that leads the spirit to the afterlife, and the glow honors the deceased. It represents the duality of the light and shadow side of human nature, correlating strongly to the unseen shadow side. Your intuition has a clear voice. You are being asked to listen carefully inward at this time. Trust your inner voice. If deep feelings are brought to their surface, allow them to flow. As scary as they may feel, they are only emotions. They cannot hurt you, and you do not have to act upon them. Feelings are what make up the essence of human experience. When it feels uncomfortable, there is an opportunity to use your emotions and channel them into creative expression. Allowing this to happen will open your soul to flow freely. You are being encouraged to enjoy and honor the full range of your spiritual and human experience as one. You are highly intuitive. Tune into the energy of the full moon it is an auspicious time that will help illuminate your psychic abilities. The moon may also be impacting your emotions at this time. Check in to see what is influencing your actions. So, this tells me, I feel like, to look within yourself, to turn inward. By turning inward and looking at your shadow, and your emotions, you could learn how things are affecting you around you, people, places, or things in your environment, in your life. Another thing that I wanted to say about shadow, though, which I recognized, I remember reading in the book about this one, and I seen in this one, is talking about the light and the shadow. Not everything in the shadow is bad. Sometimes we hide parts of ourselves in our shadow that we will feel judged for, or we don't like about ourselves, or we think that other people don't like about us. And so what I'm feeling like this card also is saying with that is like paying attention to your emotions and your thoughts on things and how they make you feel, and recognizing how things are making you feel and your reactions towards them. Yeah, your reactions, maybe. Sometimes something like being generous is something that could hide in your shadow. If you're surrounded by people, or if you have been around people or grown up around people, or you know somebody or have known somebody that makes you feel uncomfortable or ashamed or bad about being generous, like they make you feel like it's a bad trait, that's something that could hide, that you could end up tucking away in your shadow, not to be generous anymore, because you feel like it's not accepted or acceptable by others, when in reality you were a generous person and you stuffed that away into your shadow to avoid being rejected, or so that people wouldn't find you unacceptable. So it's not just dark things that hide in your shadow. Like, I'm sure there's dark things that could be in there, like I'm not saying like evil darkness. I mean, maybe you could have thoughts of that nature also. I'm not sure, because I'm not you. I can only speak on my own experiences. But something like being petty, recognizing your own pettiness, what causes your pettiness, how you feel when you're being petty, why are you being petty. I'm not saying that you guys are being petty. I'm just using that as an example. Because I've felt petty. And I wasn't sure why. I didn't understand my behavior because I hadn't reflected on it. I just knew that when somebody made me feel a certain way, I don't want to say I necessarily wanted to get back at them. I just wanted them to understand how I was feeling, how they made me feel. So, recognizing that now, I'm able to understand that feeling more. So when I do feel like that person didn't care about my feelings, so I'm going to do something similar or the same thing so that I could show them what it feels like and how much they hurt me and made me feel bad. So that they understand just how horrible it made me feel. I'm not saying anything dramatic either, that I have done for that reason, but by recognizing, but by reflecting and digging around in my shadow, I was able to recognize that petty feeling inside of me whenever I felt it, and what it felt like, why it was happening, because I felt like the person didn't care about how I felt, or because they didn't understand how I felt. Like, how could somebody hurt me like that and not care? Maybe they just don't know what it feels like. I'm not really too sure, like, what their thought process was. Maybe they didn't care that much, or maybe they just, some people don't recognize how their behavior affects the people around them. So it could be something as simple as let's see, maybe you're hanging out with two of your friends, and then all of a sudden they get up and leave and go get a drink and come back with a drink without saying anything to you. And you're like, wow, they just left me and they didn't even bring me anything back. And then you're like, well, I'm going to show them. The pettiness kicks in and you're like, well, I'm going to go get a drink tomorrow and I'm not going to bring them one right in the middle of while we're hanging out. I don't know. And the digging in the shadow and reflecting helps you recognize, well, maybe they did not do that intentionally to hurt you. Maybe they just didn't think about it. Maybe it wasn't because they didn't care about you that they didn't think about it. And maybe, like, they didn't intentionally mean to hurt you. And if they did do it intentionally on purpose to make you feel left out or hurt, is that something that you want to partake in by the act of pettiness and showing them, or recognizing that you're feeling that way and then just letting those people move along out of your life, you know? Find some new friends that are more considerate or caring of you, and I don't know, I guess. Something like that. The next one was the rose promise. I have noticed that these are in alphabetical order now. Okay. Keywords: promise, beauty, growth, romance, connection. The Fool, the Magician. Oh, the tarot card reference is the Fool, the Magician, Strength, Death, and the Two of Wands. Antiquities of magic, history of symbolism. Rose is symbolic of both physical and spiritual pleasures. The rose represents promise, sensuality, passion, and seduction. It is also associated with beauty, growth, and the mystical unknown. The spiritual attainment. All right, I think I'm going to start again from that last part. The rose represents promise, sensuality, passion, and seduction. It is also associated with beauty, growth, and the unknown, and spiritual attainment. It is a symbol connected to creation, love, fertility, and life. A rose from the stage of the bud into full blossom represents fully achieving manifestation. The thorns on the rose suggest challenges and obstacles along the way. So, okay, I'm going to finish reading this before I start my ranting. You let love in and open your heart in a way that allows others to feel welcome, seen, and appreciated in your world. Continue to focus on your inner light. It is through this love your light shines bright and attracts others. You may find yourself attracting new projects, new people, and new opportunities. All things that make you smile and make your heart flutter. Don't let little challenges defeat you. Take a moment to reflect the possibilities. Let this energy radiate through you and from you. You will continue to attract more of the same. Your emotional and positive energy is on the upswing. Use this time to relish in life's pleasures and be playful with your time. Connect to things that bring out the best in you. Explore new ways of feeling joy, because joy leads to creation through love. Encompassing yourself in bliss connects you to the offering of life. The offerings of life. You may receive promising news at this time that could potentially expand your world. A day of romance and pampering will revive you. That's interesting. So with this, I feel like by doing all of your inner work with your shadow work and your reflecting and recognizing who you are, what makes you feel the way you do, what makes you behave how you do, and choosing to keep or remove things in your life that should or should not be there, like or distancing yourself, if you can't like completely remove yourself from it, you know, you will bring more of that new energy to yourself by recognizing and healing your shadow, by figuring all that stuff out. You might, like the petty friends, get rid of those petty friends and find yourself while you're walking your journey. And, or I can't remember if I said petty or inconsiderate or what kind of friends, but letting those people go. And like my example with the people that I surrounded myself with that were not able to communicate or listen or understand, and having to go around in fights rather than resolving and listening to each other. By letting go of these kind of relationships or situations, whatever situations you could be facing, you will be opening the door to let better things in your life. And by continuing to grow yourself like that, you're just opening up your horizons to allow more positive things to come into your life. More love, more compassion, more abundance, more understanding of yourself and acceptance of yourself, more self-love. I think it said, a day of romance and pampering will revive you. Which to me, it kind of sounds like you're romancing yourself. You want to take yourself out and do something good for yourself because you love yourself. You accept yourself because you accept the parts of yourself that you didn't used to accept before because other people didn't accept it. And accepting the parts of yourself that you know other people don't accept is really valuable. Like, you don't have to walk around telling people, I'm petty and I accept it because I accept myself. You can keep that to yourself. You don't have to spread that around. But just the simple act of acknowledging, yeah, I can be petty sometimes, but I still love myself and I am growing and I am wanting to make changes in my life, or within myself, I should say rather, to behave different and to see things differently so that I could change that behavior and change that thought to something more compassionate or something less, what is the word I'm thinking about? Less outside of yourself. It's a lot easier to accept yourself when you're not focused on what the people outside of you are doing. Yes. And the last one, fire expansion. All right. Keywords: expansion, transformation, purification, passion, destruction. Tarot card references: the Devil, the Tower, Element, the Suit of Wands. The Suit of Wands. that is fire energy. That's passion and creativity and spirituality. Fire is symbolic of the burning desires that are encapsulated within the human spirit. Expansion, transformation, and inspiration are born from this element. Fire is symbolic of masculine energy, representing both creation and destruction. It is symbolic of purification and matters of the heart. It is associated with the color red and the direction south. The following words are commonly associated with the symbol of fire: spiritual power, vitality, natural energy, strength, sexual power, truth, illusion, desire, the soul, heat, light, passion, anger, fury, and expansion. You are being asked of the oracle message. You are being asked to tune into your energy at this time. You are aware of what is manifesting inside you and what is being expelled from you. Are you aware of the direction your energy is taking? You have all the power and strength to manifest your desires at your free will. It takes awareness of how your energy is being directed. Your vibration must be a match to the frequency of your desires to bring them into tangible form. Expansive, passionate energy can run hot, but also in opposite directions. This energy can sweep through everything, touching down with chaos and destruction. If reined in and executed with control, it can be used as a powerful force of inspiration and creation. It is time to check in. Do your intentions align with your actions? Is truth or illusion driving you? If your environment feels out of control, be sure to take some time out of yourself to get centered, grounded, and recharge. Things are moving quickly. So this last part of the oracle reminds me of when I was telling you about how I felt angry. And so it says here, this energy can sweep through everything, touching down with chaos and destruction. If reined in and executed with control, it can be used as powerful force of inspiration and creation. So what that means to me is that in the past, before I started this journey that I'm on, and I recognized what was causing me to be angry and all that stuff, these relationships that I would be in where I felt misunderstood or not listened to, which led to me not feeling cared for or important, was the reason that I behaved that way. I would get really angry. I would yell. I would say things that I would regret later. Which one of the things that I value so much is not saying mean things to people. I remember being bullied when I was a kid, and I remember, for as long as I can remember, not wanting to make anybody else feel that way. So I try so hard not to call people names or say things that are going to hurt people's feelings. And that is very important to me. However, in this time of conflict, no matter how big or small, and I'm trying to express myself, and I just I'm feeling like this, or I wouldn't even say it like that because I didn't understand the I am feeling part of how you start to communicate. I would let the person know how I was feeling inside, and like, or even what I wanted, or what would make me happy, or just, things in a relationship like that. And rather than feeling like I was being heard or listened to or acknowledged, even, or like what I was saying was important to the other person, I felt like the other person didn't care. And that may not even, probably wasn't the truth. They just behaved the way that they did, maybe because they didn't know any other way to react themselves, So that led to fighting and name calling and yelling, which I forgot where I was going with this. Which was the destruction. Actually, that's where I was going. That was all the chaos and destruction from my unhealed fire, I guess. The energy within me that I hadn't worked on was being projected out in that ugly way, where I felt like I needed to defend myself, or I needed to be heard. I just want you to understand, like, don't you think I'm important? Like, just hear me. And that process, although I didn't intentionally, I didn't intend to be mean when I came to the person that I wanted to talk to let them know how I was feeling, I had zero intention on behaving that way after, I may have, probably not actually. I probably wouldn't have kept it to myself if I would have thought that it would prevent anything. But I probably would have distanced myself from people sooner because that was just a bunch of destructive, chaotic energy to be in. And I didn't feel like myself when I behaved that way. So by reflecting and looking into myself and to doing my shadow work, I was able to, I'm not going to say perfectly or in every way, because there's still a lot of things that I'm working on, but able to change the way that I use that energy into a more creative, healthier, passionate kind of energy rather than the destructive kind of energy, just by doing some work on myself, by learning some things. So I kind of feel like I am not sure why I'm talking so much about myself, but I don't know, maybe somebody needs to hear, or it would help somebody to hear my experience. Maybe somebody's going through some similar experiences. But just as it says here, do your intentions align with your actions? In the past, my intentions did not align. I did not have very good communication skills, and I was communicating with people who didn't have very good communication skills. So trying to communicate was a chaotic, destructive mess. And it says, is your truth or illusion driving you? And I feel like I could break that down by saying my illusion was that I needed to get louder and angrier in order for somebody to recognize that what I was trying to share was important to me. And that was just an illusion, because I don't need to do that. I can respectfully and effectively communicate with somebody how I'm feeling, what I'm needing, what I'm wanting, and allow them to show me how they're going to react to that. So they could show me that they haven't put the effort into that. I don't know if I want to say it like that, but maybe haven't grown. I don't know if I want to say it like that either. Not everybody is putting effort into growing and bettering themselves. And some people do, and they do it in baby steps, and that's fine. And some people everybody does it differently, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, I could find the people that resonate more with the level that I'm at based off of the reaction or the behavior that I receive from their behavior. So I could choose, now that I am learning about communication and how I feel whenever I'm being misunderstood and not listened to, and use that in my what is it called? Discernment for whether or not this is the kind of people that I want to surround myself with. Because if I'm working on myself and I'm trying to grow, and I don't want to be angry anymore, but I'm surrounding myself with people that that aren't working towards the same goal as I am, which in this sense would be communication, then I'm going to end up being stuck in that same loop of conflicts not getting resolved. And even though I may be aware of my feelings of how it makes me feel unimportant and unheard, and I'm recognizing maybe this person isn't in a place where they're able to listen, I might not always be able to center myself in that space of acknowledgement. So I am more capable or more prone to behaving in the way that I did in the past by not removing that kind of behavior from my energy. Otherwise, I mean, I feel like I've done a lot of work, but I know that if I'm put in these situations, the first thing that pops in my head when I'm getting upset isn't always gonna be, well, this person is probably behaving like this because, with an empathetic view of the situation, I may sometimes still revert back to the old behavior because it's just, an instant reaction and kind of new still. And so by not choosing to remove myself from those energies and put myself in new energies where people are working on the same goals as I am, or the same things as I am, I could potentially get stuck in the old version of myself again, or get sucked back into the old version of myself again. If that makes sense. Because I kind of feel like it got kind of confusing at the end. All right. So here are some tarot cards. Okay, spirit messages today for the collective. Ace of Cups. I feel like that's like an opportunity for learning to control your emotions, or opportunity to feel your feelings and emotions. To understand your own emotional depths a little more. Alright, one more. Two of Swords, maybe feeling like you have a decision to make, but you're not sure. Not sure which choice to make. You don't see all the information, which could be to do with you don't have control over anybody but yourself. So you wouldn't be able to see the intentions or ideas of somebody else. You would have to, I feel like the way to take the blindfold off would be to look within yourself and make a decision off of what is best for yourself without focusing on what somebody else's thoughts could be, or what their next move could be, or behavior, or what this next situation could be, or what your situation is. And we have the Three of Swords, which is like heartbreak or betrayal. I feel like this kind of could mean, this is kind of, I have not even pulled out cards yet, but I'm feeling like this feels like it could be like you're betraying yourself in a sense by allowing yourself to be stuck in outside of yourself, by allowing yourself to be stuck outside of yourself and not being able to make choices or decisions because of another person or another situation, or I'm not sure how a place could pertain, but it could be a place, it could be a person, or it could be a thing. But by not focusing on you and what's best for you, by wondering, well, I wonder what this person is thinking or what they're going to do so that I know what I can do, so that I know what to do next, or I know what I can do, not waiting on that other person. Because you could get your heart broken by waiting forever and they never come around and you spend your whole life waiting. Or you betray yourself by being stagnant, not moving because you can't make a choice. You're kind of stuck, you're frozen. So I guess the moral of the story is don't or is try to allow yourself the freedom and the ability to make your own choices without outside energy influencing you. Like, of course, there may be some decisions that you have to make with somebody. Like, if you're in a relationship and you and your boyfriend are like, well, let's move to Arkansas, and I mean, that's something you would both have to consider. But also, if you don't want to move to Arkansas, or if you're the one that wants to move to Arkansas and your partner doesn't want to, but you think it's the best thing for you, then you have to decide yourself if what your choices are going to be. Like, what your choices, you have to decide for yourself. You love this person, maybe, but you also feel like you need to move to Arkansas. And of course, you both have to think about it together to decide whether or not that's something you want to do together. But also you have to think about what's good for you and what your options are if things don't go the way that you want them to, or the way that they would go with this person. Like, because there could be a million reasons why you need to move to Arkansas. Maybe it's like, I just have to move to Arkansas because I have this specific reasons why I have to go. But your person is like, well, I don't want to move to Arkansas. Then you have to be able to go within yourself without allowing this person's behavior, thoughts, or choices to affect your choice? Like, is your need to move to Arkansas so strong that you're willing to, or that you're okay with leaving this person behind? Or are you feeling like you would much rather stay and in this other place with this person because that's what you want to do, not because that's what they're forcing you to do by not wanting to go?